I can't not put this guy in my top 5 because of how unbelievably unguardable he is. And I'll be the one to say can be top 5. There's 2 ways to look at this.
For the 100th time, ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we are at episode 100 of Fourth and Troll Fantasy. What a dream. What a time it's been. Wes, this has been a blast. We've been doing this for 3 years now, and it's just been getting better and better. And only place to go is up, and I'm stoked. And we're gonna start that out by doing top 10 wide receivers today, dude. We have made it to arguably the most talked about position in fantasy football, the wide receiver position. It's gonna be a fun time, but it wouldn't be a celebration without a giveaway. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna be giving away Fourth and Troll Fantasy merch. We're giving away a shirt. This isn't Fourth and Troll Fantasy. This is just a shirt. It's just a shirt.
Did you forget what they look like? I'll show you.
Shirts.
Hold up a shirt.
We're giving one away. We're giving away a Fourth and Troll Fantasy shirt to a random comment below. Comment below, and we're going to pick one, and you're going to win a shirt. Just make sure you're subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. That's all you got to do. And then you will win a Fourth and Troll Fantasy shirt. We're going to pick one comment at random. Comment below. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a fun time. That'll be great. We'll get in contact with you, get your info, and send you out a shirt to celebrate 100 episodes. And yeah, it's been a blast. Let's celebrate 100 episodes even more because we're doing top 10 wide receivers, dude.
Oh gosh.
Everything's down below. You know the drill. Discord community, weekly rankings, giving away a James Cook jersey if you can beat us in fantasy, exclusive merch at the end of the year. All that's through our Patreon, and follow us on all our socials. Always dropping fire info for you guys on there as well. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Comment your favorite thing that you put in your mouth today if it's food. And we'll move
food
on.
answers only, please.
Yeah,
food and drink answers only.
Yeah,
Goodness.
please. Or not, you know. Hit us in our Instagram DMs if not. Anyway, listen. We got some news to talk about before we jump into the top 10 wide receivers. Wes, take it away.
Flying through this because it's all about wide receivers this episode. Okay, first things first, Brandon Ayuk's situation. This guy, I don't know what's going on. Apparently, the Browns and Patriots offered a deal to trade for him, included some wide receivers, but Ayuk has some kind of clause where he can say no, and he said no to both the Patriots and the Cleveland Browns. So the scenarios are he's either going to Pittsburgh, he's staying in San Francisco, or he's just going to hold out. So we will see what happens from here on out. It is Monday, by the way. We are recording this Monday. So if you have any information on any of these news, by the time it's updated, just know we're doing our rankings based on that as well. Next piece of news, Josh Downs suffered a high ankle sprain. It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks before he's ready, which puts his week 1 status as questionable. Rondale Moore, Falcons wide receiver, is out for the entire 2024 campaign with a season-ending knee injury. The Vikings stated they're hoping that TJ Hawkinson will return at some point during the first half of the season. Oh, okay. Also, Jordan Addison was officially charged with 2 misdemeanors following the DUI. There hasn't been anything officially stated, but some sources say that it could be up to 3 games. We will see when we find out anything official. The Patriots released Juju Smith-Schuster. The 49ers released tight end Logan Thomas. Hollywood Brown, Chiefs' new superstar wide receiver, suffered a sternoclavicular joint dislocation. I don't know where that is in the body, but apparently Tyreek Hill had that in 2019, was out for several weeks. He did avoid surgery. Not going to miss a lot of time, if any, for the regular season, but his week 1 status is questionable. Last piece of news, Malik Nabers tweaked his ankle, minor ankle sprain a couple days ago. Severity is very low, and his status week 1 is not in question, although we're waiting for some MRI results. That's it. Okay, here we go. Top 10 wide receivers of 2024. And Noah, you and I are probably more nervous about this than any other rankings we've done, maybe ever. Because you and I are usually synchronized. And right out the gate, I think you and I are going to shock each other with our rankings.
Okay. We don't know each other's rankings for everyone.
We don't know.
Just renew around here. We keep these a secret. We don't know each other's rankings. I feel like it's pretty consensus amongst the community who usually the top 10 receivers are going to be. So I don't know what you have in store for us.
Mm-hmm.
But take it away with your wide receiver 10, Wes.
That's right. I am starting. And I want to comment, I like your little, your shirt, the Puka Nacua shirt. That may be a teaser for you. I'm excited to see if Puka lands in your top 10. Okay. So let me kick things off here by saying I did an unhealthy amount of research with data and history and probabilities and likelihood for every possible wide receiver throughout the last 25 years. So I'm coming at this through numbers, and I'm combining that with training camp reports as well. And I'm putting together the top 10 based on what I'm reading and based on what I think history is indicating. With number 10, the guy on your shirt, Puka Nacua, kicks off my top 10 list.
Okay.
I think Cooper Kupp puts a dent in Puka Nacua's potential elite status all the way down to number 10 overall.
Yeah.
But I think the emergence of Cooper Kupp is going to take away a lot of targets, not a ton, but a lot of targets, and will put a dent in his receiving yards. Probably not going to do a lot to his touchdowns, though. And I think overall, he is still worth that first round pick. Depends who you believe in the second round as well. But I think Puka Nacua is still a top 10 wide receiver, even with a fully healthy Cooper Kupp.
I love it. He's extremely talented. I love me some Puka Nacua. One of my darlings last year. Snatched him up, spent a lot of fab in every league that I could get him after week 1, just on the chance that this guy who got like 17 targets in week 1 as a 5th round rookie ended up being someone. You have him at number 10, Wes?
Mm-hmm.
He has not cracked my top 10 list for 2024.
Wow.
I have him outside my top 10. It's not far, but I agree with you about Cooper Kupp. And I believe it pushes him back a little further. I have Puka Nacua as my wide receiver 14 this season. It's not that far off. 4 spots, but I don't have him in my top 10. Not mad at it, though. He's extremely talented, and this Rams offense is going to do a lot this season. So
bit of a surprise, though.
I do. I just got some guys that I've got better feelings about.
I mean, you're representing him on your shirt and everything.
I know. It was the wide receivers episode, dude. I had to represent a little bit. I had to represent a little bit. Let me jump to my top 10, or not my top 10. I'm just gonna do all my top 10 right now. Let me jump to my wide receiver 10, and he's teammates with a guy who's pretty relevant right now. My wide receiver 10 this season is Deebo Samuel. Now listen, Deebo Samuel cracks my top 10 list because I went ahead and I looked at everything. Just from a standpoint of, we've previously talked about Deebo as being a guy who is, he's a rushing touchdown merchant. He's not going to, he's not that good of a wide receiver. And I had to eat crow on my own words, because when I went back and looked at it, I was like, man, his season when he emerged as the wide back, he still had 1,400 receiving yards that season. That's an unhealthy amount of receiving yards for a guy who was also rushing for 6+ touchdowns. That's something that we should be talking about more. Each of his last 2 fully healthy seasons, he had 6+ rushing touchdowns. It's just part of his game. Last year, from week 10 on, he was the wide receiver 2 behind just CeeDee Lamb. That's it. He was a wide receiver 2 for the back half of the season, all the way through the playoffs. He was an absolute animal. And here's the thing. This is even with Brandon Ayuk. If Brandon Ayuk gets traded, Deebo Samuel climbs higher for me. I'm not sure how far up, but the targets go up, the opportunities go up. And here's the last little piece. If this Christian McCaffrey calf strain is something more, I expect the rushing opportunities to climb as well for him. I think he's a lock for at least 5 rushing touchdowns and however many yards that gets him. So I really like Deebo Samuel this year. He is my wide receiver 10 for the 2024 season.
I'm with you. I think Deebo's top 10. I will talk about him later, but let's be in agreement that Deebo is top 10. And it was a text conversation you and I had leading up to this episode. And I was like, with this Ayuk situation, I mean, if Deebo has the wide receiver room to himself, I mean, obviously, let's go ahead and adjust our tight end rankings if Ayuk is gone too. And George Kittle is he's wide receiver 1, 2, and 3. I mean, that's how good I think he'll be. But I'm with you. Deebo's top 10, and I'll get to where he is when I get to him in my rankings.
Let's rock with it. Let's jump to 9.
But I've got it. Okay, number 9. Again, pulling lots of data, man. I mean, the Excel spreadsheet I have is maniacal. It's the Charlie Day meme from It's Always Sunny. It's absurd, and I'm not going to budge on what I've found, and I combine it with what I'm reading in training camp, and I'm going to believe that this is a great steal in this draft, and the PPR volume as well. Because let's not forget, another receiver from the same team, I'm going to strut into here saying wide receiver 9 is Diontae Johnson. The PPR volume is going to be incredible. Adam Thielen, I said wide receiver 30 is usually where he was, but I looked through. That was standard. Adam Thielen was wide receiver 17 in PPR. Without the touchdowns, that's not too bad. You add in some touchdowns, we're looking at really high top 15 upside. And Diontae Johnson, if you look at this Carolina's training camp, this guy is going to be the offense. And it's fantastic. So the new head coach, Dave Canales. There's one thing when a head coach says the plan is to get the ball in this guy's hands all season long. Like the plan is get this guy the ball, and then you watch, and the ball goes everywhere else. Okay, you look at the Packers receiver room. The OC said, we want to get the ball into Jaden Reed's hands as much as possible this upcoming season. And then you look at training camp, it's like it's Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and Dontavian Wicks. Like it's everyone but Jaden Reed. And then occasionally, it's like, okay, that's not true. Dave Canales said the plan is to get Diontae Johnson football. The quote is, the offense is going to be, where is Diontae Johnson at? And that is exactly what this camp looks like. He is in a prime season for a monster PPR volume. So if you're not in PPR, don't worry too much about Johnson. He may have some touchdown upside that'll help out, but I'm going to be the one to say a Carolina Panthers wide receivers top 10. Bryce Young's going to have a pretty good season.
Wow.
You're going to love the rest of this list.
Oh, man. Okay, I mean, dude, we were shocked by Adam Thielen last season. And that was in a very bad season for Bryce Young when he threw 11 touchdowns. Oh my gosh, that is,
That's pathetic.
But we still, first half of the season for Adam Thielen, we were like, I was like, is he top trade target? Like, what do we even do here? What's going on? Love Diontae Johnson, great separator. Cannot deny the talent. Man, where's he at in my ranks? I pulled up my ranks.
Yeah. And he's I believe 7th round right now. So this is not, the risk is
I'm
juicy.
being disrespectful. I've got to bump that up a bit.
You got it too low. But anyway, but here I am.
Maybe I'll bump up to 9. Who knows?
That's where I've got it.
Dude, what a start. Oh my gosh. All right, man. Let's see. This is incredible. I love it. All right. My wide receiver 9 for the 2024 fantasy football season. The rookie, you know him, you love him, Marvin Harrison Jr. Best wide receiver prospect we've seen in a while. He stands out amongst the top tiers, the elites. He's in the same conversation about wide receivers coming out of college as Jamar Chase, as Justin Jefferson. Those guys, absolute difference makers in fantasy football year one. Marvin Harrison Jr. is sure being drafted like it. He is the highest ADP rookie wide receiver ever. People were like, oh, these rookie wide receivers that are highly drafted end up doing good. Let's draft him as such. They're doing the same thing with Malik Nabers. He is the second highest ADP wide receiver drafted ever. Dude, Jamar Chase's rookie year, he was going in the 7th round. Can Marvin Harrison Jr. come out and say the football is harder to catch or something like that a little bit for us, please? Can we talk about? Can we get that line or something to make him more affordable? Listen, he's so expensive. Given the circumstance, if he falls to the 3rd round, I'm grabbing him. Like you got to. I think he's absolutely a wide receiver 1. My wide receiver 9. Love him. Love him. Love him. Love him. It's should see 150 targets. He's on a team with a really good quarterback where he's the top option, and there's a really, really bad defense. It's a match made in heaven. He should see over 150 targets this season, as long as he stays healthy. MHJ, my wide receiver 9 this season in fantasy football.
He is the type of player. I mean, speaking of him and Malik Nabers, like we're seeing a trend with rookie wide receivers where they are elite. They come out the gate from college into the NFL as powerful players on their teams. And yeah, with Jamar Chase, there was just a little bit of confusion as to what he was going to do. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is that type of guy. And I understand. Him being, I wish his ADP wasn't probably accurate. I want something to I want some kind of comment from some coach or from Kyler Murray about Marvin Harrison about. So yes, please, make it affordable for us so we can.
Dude, get turf toe this week or something, so people freak out when you can just drop people like the 5th round.
It's like 6 weeks on an IR, dude, but easy. Something, please. Yeah. Okay, this is great. Here we go. Number 8 for me.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 8. Garrett Wilson. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Let's buy in again.
Okay.
I understand him not being in people's top 10s because of what happened last year. I was one of the people that drafted him, but there's something about kind of taking off the lens, because when you go into the offseason, you've got this preconceived notion and this bias of, I want this guy to be great. And we did that with Garrett Wilson. We said, let me put on my confirmation bias. Garrett Wilson's a great receiver, and he's got Aaron Rodgers. Yes, it looks beautiful in training camp. Hard Knocks is really cool. I'm loving it. And then, of course, 4 snaps in, it all changed. Yeah. But I look at the numbers from Garrett Wilson, and unless his touchdown upside really increases, he's not going to be that high in the top 10. So I'm not saying he's not worth the draft pick, but there was a point when last year you and I were talking okay, so there's Tyreek Hill, there's CeeDee Lamb, and then maybe AJ and Cooper Kupp, when that was last year's top 4. Is Garrett Wilson 5? And we're that's the upside.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson was top 15 in targets and receptions.
Yeah.
So it's not like something went wrong as far as the production. It's literally just touchdowns. So how many more touchdowns is he going to get? I don't think it's going to be 12. People thought that with Aaron Rodgers, with a healthy Rodgers. I don't think that's going to be the case. Regardless, he's at the end of the 1st round, early 2nd round. Let's do it. If you want to get Garrett Wilson, maybe get someone else just in case if you're scared, which you'll have 2 really good wide receivers in that case for your first 2 picks. But I'll call it Garrett Wilson, number 8 wide receiver on the season for fantasy football.
Yeah, I like Garrett Wilson a lot this year. He's in my top 10. I'll provide more comments then. That's
Beautiful.
it. I'll provide more comments then. Let's jump over. My wide receiver 8. I'm back in. 2 years ago, I was in. Last year, I was out. I'm back in. My wide receiver 8 for 2024 is Mike Evans. Listen, Mike Evans is being drafted at his absolute floor and beyond it. He's being drafted outside his floor. He's currently being drafted in the middle of the 3rd round. He is being drafted as I'm so sorry. I had it written down and then I lost it. Hang on. I've got it because it's such a good piece of information. Hang on. Sorry. I was on a roll ADP. There and then I just lost it. Yeah. ADP. Okay. He's being drafted as a wide receiver. Okay. Now I have it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Back on my roll. Mike Evans is being drafted as the wide receiver 14, which is beyond his floor. He has never finished a single season where he's been healthy lower than the wide receiver 11. When he plays the whole year, he's never been worse than wide receiver 11. And he's going as wide receiver 14. Take the value. It's not like an injury dip. It's not anything. It's just, I don't know if it's the Canales effect. And people think, well, Dave Canales went to Seattle and resurrected Geno Smith. And then he left and went to Tampa, and Geno Smith regressed. And then he went to Tampa and resurrected Baker Mayfield. And now he's left and he's gone to Carolina. Now Baker's going to regress. Here's my thing. even if Baker Mayfield regresses, is he going to regress enough to be worse than Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick throughout all of Mike Evans's career? No, like he can't be. It's not. I'm not trying to like make him catch strays or anything from Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick, but it's just like Baker developed a good process for him, and he developed a great connection with Mike Evans. Even if he regresses, if Dave Canales is gone and it's a different playbook, anything like that, even with regression, Mike Evans has still proved time and time again. We know the big stat, 1,000 yards every single year he has been in the NFL. He has proven he can be great with any system, and through any offensive coordinator change, any offense, any quarterback. And that's not going to change this season. It's just Chris Godwin's going to get more involved in the slot. He's going to be more involved there. New rookie Jalen McMillan, we might see him more outside, getting some coverage on him. Mike Evans is going to keep that connection with Baker Mayfield. Wide receiver 8. Take the value of wide receiver 14 ADP. Mike Evans is my wide receiver 8 for the fantasy football season.
I get it. It. He's not in my top 10. He's in my top 15.
Okay.
But he's not in my top 10 because 13 touchdowns is why he was top 10.
It's tough.
And Chris Godwin had as many catches and receptions as Mike Evans last year. But Godwin had like 2 receiving touchdowns. So it was very, very one-sided when it got to the red zone. However, there's a lot of optimism about Chris Godwin this year being as healthy as he was back in 2020. And in 2019, Chris Godwin was wide receiver 2 on the season. So I think Godwin takes away from the touchdown upside for Mike Evans. But as far as having a valuable wide receiver, like if you go running back heavy in the first 2-3 rounds, Mike Evans as your wide receiver 1 is probably just fine, even if I've got him in the top 15. So I totally get it. I had a feeling you were going to put him because you love some Mike Evans, man.
I do.
You love this guy.
It was
pretty great.
Beautiful to see him make the bounce back last season. I think he's going to do similar things this year. Love me some Mike Evans. Let's jump to 7, Wes.
It's already been mentioned. My wide receiver 7 is Marvin Harrison Jr.
Ooh.
And I
thought he was going to be out of your top 10. This is exciting.
No, I see it. It's happening in camp. He's the type of player to be elite right out of the gate. And, him and Malik Nabers, you called them 1A, 1B. Like, they're both just incredible. And the way Marvin Harrison is performing in training camp is the real deal, and everyone sees the connection right away. And he could be higher if it wasn't for the upside of Trey McBride, I think. And there's just some little bit of chemistry here and there with other receivers, so it's not like every single pass is going to go his way. But it is a shame that he's being valued exactly where I think he's going to end up, and I just want the discount. I want to be able to have a chance to have him later in the second round even, but he's not really falling there in any mock draft I do. And he's going to be great. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver 7 for me.
Yeah. Not much more to say. He's going to be great. If you want to have some back spasms or something and then clear yourself up just enough to drop to the 4th or 5th round, we'd appreciate it, Marv. But we get it. You're going to be awesome. You're going to be exciting, and you're going to be elite from year 1. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be fun to watch the Cardinals because their defense sucks and their offense is gonna have to be so good if they want to win games. Anyway, all right, my wide receiver 7, he's also been mentioned already. It's Garrett Wilson. I'm with you. I think he's gonna be great. I think it's a similar argument to last year, as we've said. Well, last year he played with Zach Wilson, and he was like a back end wide receiver 2, and he looked great, and he had flashes, and he looked even better when he wasn't playing with Zach Wilson. So, Aaron Rodgers, former 2-time, MVP coming into New York should be great.
I mean, 4-time actually.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I meant 2. Did he go back to back, or was it 2 in the last 3 years?
He went back to back both times.
That's why I hate that dude. So good. He's so good.
He's really good.
So good.
He was. We'll see.
He was good. That's what we're going to see this year. Is we're going to have to see. Garrett Wilson was playing with a trash can of a quarterback each of the last 2 years, and he set the record for most targets of any NFL player ever over the first 2 years of their career. Point blank. It's no doubt in my mind that he is a special player, that he's exciting, he's fun to watch, and if Aaron Rodgers can be even decent, he will be an easy top 10 wide receiver this season. And it's the same argument we had last year. It's a disappointing road that we've gotten to where we didn't get it last year. We didn't get to see it. It was cut short. Unfortunately, we're not as certain that Rodgers may still have it now. Often Achilles, that's a serious thing. But if he can be even 65% of what he has been in his career, Garrett Wilson is an easy top 10 for me. So love it. He's my wide receiver 7.
Yeah. The only caution I will reiterate is his ceiling's probably much more capped than people want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be about this 7, 8, 9 range. And that's kind of it. And obviously the floor is much worse than we want it to be. But I think as long as he doesn't get hurt or anything wild happens again. Yeah. Okay. Number 6.
I want to do one thing. I want to look at one thing.
Yes, please.
Just out of curiosity, I wanted to check Devontae Adams' touchdown totals over his career.
Sure.
With Rodgers. Yeah, I don't think Garrett Wilson can get here. 11, 18, 13, 10, 12. He maybe can get 10. But I think Mike Williams is going to be more involved in that offense than people think. I think Tyler Conklin's going to be more involved in the receiving game than people think. And Breece Hall as well, obviously.
And Breece Hall, Breece Hall is getting a crap ton of receiving work and is annihilating the passing game. So I think just that alone. But either way, we're both in consensus, top 10, but out of the top 5. And also out of the top 5, but still worth his first-round pick. Wide receiver 6 for me is A.J. Brown. I think he's going to do just about as well. The only problem is Devonta Smith is finally eating it up in camp. Yeah. And he is kind of the star right now for Philadelphia, aside from Saquon Barkley. And I think that is just going to chip away at A.J. Brown's 10 total touchdowns, especially with Barkley there. And I think it's going to chip away at his 1,500 yards he had last season. But he is still the alpha. He is still an unparalleled athlete. And A.J. Brown is probably one of the safer choices in the first round for a wide receiver, especially towards that back half, middle of the draft. And take the guy you love. If you have a choice between A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase, or you like Marvin Harrison Jr., take the guy you love. For me, it's A.J. Brown, the safest choice as well of all those back-end wide receivers in the first round. There he is, wide receiver 6.
Dude. He's special. He's really special. He's in my top 10, and I'll save more comments for that. But he's extremely special, and he's very exciting to watch for sure. My wide receiver 6 for the 2024 fantasy football season, he's back. Cooper Kupp is my wide receiver 6. The boys are back. They're eating breakfast. They're eating their Cheerios again. Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp are back being buddy-buddy. Cooper Kupp is going to be the healthy top option is the word out of camp right now. This offense is running through Cooper Kupp is the word that we're hearing. He's going to be a healthy top option and should see a heavy target share. I would say more than 140 targets for this guy this season is what I'm projecting. And I believe he can still be elite even off of the injury and another year older. He had 3 top 5 fantasy weeks last year off of the hamstring. The hamstring injury that kept him out for the first month of the season, came back, didn't hinder him. He came back, had a top 5 week, and then he tweaked the injury later in the year, came back, had 2 more top 5 weeks after that. He's going to be back, ready to rock and roll, even with my boy Puka Nacua. He's going to be a big part of this offense, no doubt about it. Cooper Kupp, my wide receiver 6 this season.
I totally understand. Puka is really involved, so I can't take Puka out of my top 10. Sure. But the way that Cooper Kupp is performing, and you see why I think Stafford's going to be top 10. And you got both these guys balling out. I get it. I'll just leave it at that. I get it. I totally get it.
All right.
Okay. Top 5.
Top 5.
Here we go. So there are, as I mentioned, confirmation bias where I've needed to take that off. Because, I've looked at some of the players last year and was like, I was speaking to Devonta Smith. I was like, Devonta Smith's going to be amazing. He's going to be elite. And we did a way too early top 10. And I was like, Devonta Smith's going to be like wide receiver 4. He's going to be incredible. And so anytime there's any annotation or note about Devonta Smith, I was like, let's go, dude. He's going to be amazing. It was wrong because I wanted it to be true. And then on the flip side, I was looking at receivers. I was like, there's no way that team's going to be good at all. Like, they suck. And I kept reading Mike Evans over and over last year in training camp. And I was like, no way, Baker Mayfield sucks. And then Mike Evans was unstoppable. Speaking of it, I actually read Puka Nacua's name a bunch of times. And I was like, who the hell's this guy? It's not even going to matter. So I've turned a new leaf. And there's something undeniable for me. And I'll be the only guy to say this. But I can't not put this guy in my top 5 because of how unbelievably unguardable he is. And I'll be the one to say Malik Nabers can be top 5. There's 2 ways to look at this. You say Daniel Jones sucks. This Giants offense is garbage. Saquon Barkley's gone. And you can just say, whatever, Giants are trash. Or you can look at history. You can look at statistics. You can look at what Malik Nabers is doing in training camp. And you can take off this confirmation bias and say, oh shit, he's the real deal. And he got a little tweak in his ankle, might help his draft pick, his ADP for you. He'll be just fine. But I can't not see what's in front of me with Malik Nabers. And every single week, he climbed his way into my top 20, then 15, to the point where I saw this chemistry. Nabers and Daniel Jones is no joke. And I've looked. You don't need an elite, great quarterback to put up an elite, great wide receiver in fantasy. I see Jamar Chase rookie year when I see Malik Nabers. Wow. I see Anquan Bolden in this rookie season as well. And just for fun, Anquan Bolden's quarterback threw 2,200 yards all season. And he had 20 touchdowns. Anquan Bolden had 1,300 of those yards and 8 of those touchdowns. I'm sorry, not 20 touchdowns from Jeff Blake as the quarterback. 13 total touchdowns. And Anquan Bolden had 8 of them. It's possible. And Anquan Bolden's a freak of nature. Jamar Chase has been a freak of nature. I will be the guy to say Malik Nabers is top 5. I guarantee you I'm the only one. And so do me a favor. Like this video. And come back to it after week 4. Okay? Let's see where he is after 4 weeks, okay? So while everyone skips him because they don't believe in Daniel Jones, they don't believe in this offense, they don't believe that even though they got 2 more offensive linemen to help out Daniel Jones, they don't believe it, fine. I'll draft him in every single league I can, and we'll see how he is just after 4 weeks. I'll be that guy. Malik Nabers, top 5.
I don't have words. I'm going to let you have that moment. And listen, he'd absolutely see a 30% target share in this offense. Easily. He's playing with JV squad, really, in that wide receiver room. All over fantasy Twitter, you're just hearing about Malik Nabers in camp. You're seeing new clips of Malik Nabers in camp. He's exciting. He is. He's 1A, 1B. He is 1B. The ceiling is there. He could absolutely be a top 5 wide receiver this season with how it's playing out, with how Brian Daboll probably wants to keep his job. And man, that is bold to say the least, but we'll see how it goes. You were right on Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. It wasn't Amon-Ra last year wasn't as bold as this, but this is bold, and I like the boldness. So that's exciting, man. Oh my goodness. All right, my wide receiver 5 this season, again, already been mentioned. It's AJ Brown. He was on pace to outscore Tyreek Hill on the season, weeks 1 through 9. He set the record for like most like games with like 140 receiving yards or like something like that in a row. He's absolutely undeniably one of the safest of the upper tier guys, so to speak. As you mentioned, he's going to have a capable running game here with this team now. Saquon Barkley in town, and Kellen Moore's in the offense. I expected to get a little more creative. I'm not too worried about Devontae Smith, and I don't. That's not to say Devontae Smith isn't going to be great. I have Devontae Smith as a top 17. He's my wide receiver 17 this season, so I think he's still going to be fantastic and a great value. More or less, just believe that AJ Brown is still the alpha, still going to get his, still going to go ahead and be an absolute menace for this offense. And I think it's going to be really special for AJ Brown. So he's my wide receiver 5, kicking off my top 5 wide receivers.
There were times I thought AJ Brown was number 1 on my list. I mean, it just there, that range is there. I think he probably is number 5 for me, but it's not going to make as good of a clip. It's not as bold to say Malik Nabers is number 6. Say Malik Nabers is top 5 is so much more powerful. So
Malik Nabers is top 6. What
is number 6? Yeah, AJ Brown.
He's number 6.
Number 6. So AJ Brown, I think, is very likely top 5. I'm with you on this, and I think Devontae Smith's gonna be great. But I think that this is just a good team. Okay, top 4.
Top 4.
You've been waiting. You've been waiting for me to say this guy. I said he was in my top 10. It's been going up and up and up, and I'm bought in on Deebo Samuel, number 4.
Oh, boy.
Wide receiver. I mean, if Ayuk is traded, that's where it goes. It goes up to this top 3 almost, but I'm with you on everything you said. I just think the upside's there with the rushing that makes him even more powerful. I think Deebo Samuel is seeing a lot of targets in camp from Brock Purdy, by the way. Juwan Jennings is getting his share, especially since Ayuk has dealt with all his drama. Ricky Pearsall's had a couple of nice catches. Don't forget about Ricky
Pearsall. Oh, my God.
Wait a minute. They got the guy in the first round. And no, it's all Deebo Samuel, honestly. And that's part of the frustration in Deebo for some of the time is he's not worked in the passing game as much. Well, like you said, that's not true when he's the alpha. And last 2 years, Ayuk kind of increased his role, and then Ayuk was the better receiver, but I can't not draft Deebo. I can't not draft Deebo Samuel. Unless there's some running back that's available for me or whatever it is. What's your question?
Is he potentially like a my guy, Wes?
Oh.
Is he in that conversation? Like, is he one of those guys you can't pass up on? Asking for a friend, totally not because we picked back-to-back in our draft this year.
I'll tell you what. There's another guy. There's another guy in my top 3 that's a my guy.
All right, cool. Good deal. Yeah, Deebo's going to be great. No doubt about it. We love him. My wide receiver 4 this season. I was pausing for effect, and then I realized I was pausing too long. And so my wide receiver 4 this season, Jamar Chase. He's going to be a very, very special player out there with Joe Burrow. Career high in catches last season. Very, very, very special player. I know T. Higgins is back for one more year, playing for a contract potentially, maybe more incentivized to ball out. Jamar is kind of holding in, so to speak, and so he hasn't really participated a whole lot in camp, and so maybe there's a little rust to be shaken off there. Don't care. Doesn't matter. We watched them last season in Arizona, and he went for 52 fantasy points in that game, dude. And it was like, and that was right after we had like a little semi-viral clip go. We're like, you should trade him for Nico Collins straight up. And Nico was great last year. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
But with how everything was looking, I'll die on that hill. Jamar Chase is going to be awesome. Burrow's back and ready to roll. Pass-heavier offense with the weaker running backs in the running back room. They're going to be more creative that way, and I just believe that they're going to get back to their mojo, and they're going to have a good old time doing it. So, Jamar Chase, my wide receiver 4.
I do not think this is going to work out for Ja'Marr Chase this year. He's not in my top 10. And
wow,
he has not been top 10 since his rookie year. And with Joe Burrow's injury, it's concerning for me that Ja'Marr Chase can get back in the top 10. With this hold-in, I don't know if it extends into the regular season at all, but there are those three factors. One, this hold-in is a bit concerning, and there's no sign of any progress either. We've seen stuff with CeeDee Lamb, but there's no progress for Ja'Marr Chase. Number two, Burrow has a thumb injury on his throwing hand that he's recovering from. And three, he hasn't been top 10 the last 2 years. So
he was 11 last year.
Because he had a 52-point game. He had a 52-point game and one good game with Jake Browning against the Jaguars. Everything else is
there's the key.
Nowhere near.
He had Jake Browning for half the season, and he still finished as the wide receiver 11.
Well, maybe Jake Browning should be the quarterback then, because with Joe Burrow outside of one Cardinals game, he was that was why you and I were saying let's ship out Ja'Marr Chase. Let's get him off our teams, because it was disappointing. It's not it was not been a top 10 wide receiver. His second year, he got hurt.
He was wide receiver 12. He was wide receiver 12 on 13 games.
Off a injury. Yeah, off a hip injury. So I see that there. But then this happens again, and his quarterback gets hurt. And he was not good with his starting quarterback for a while. So I'm not buying into Ja'Marr Chase this year. So I'd rather have A.J. Brown than Ja'Marr Chase.
Where's he at? Where's he at on your list?
He goes back and forth a lot, but I have him just around 15.
Wow. Worst year of his career. This is what you're projecting this season.
For fantasy, I think so.
I mean, for a wide receiver, pretty much for fantasy is.
I guess so. It's this
pretty indicative. Wow, man, that's bold. That's bold. I don't know if that's more bold than Malik Nabers' top 5. Wow, that's gonna be interesting. All right, let's move on. Let's jump to where are we at? 3.
Top three.
Top 3. Let's get into it.
The reigning wide receiver champion of fantasy, CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
I went back and forth if he was even going to be top 10, honestly, because of the history of what's happened to these wide receivers after they are finished first. 4 of the last 5 got hurt the next year. You want to read into that kind of fantasy football curse, go ahead. But truthfully, CeeDee Lamb, I know he is that offense. And so do Cowboys fans. Good Lord. They are.
I don't know. Jerry Jones does.
Jerry Jones. So there have been a lot of talks that it's going to get done before this season starts. And I believe it. I believe that CeeDee Lamb will be there. He's already taken a $1.5 million fine in this holdout.
Yeah.
But I think it gets done, and CeeDee is going to prove that he deserves that contract. And I said Dak's going to have a little bit of a step back, and it's not going to be as great as he was last year in fantasy, but it's a bit of a risk given the current situation. Maybe by the time you're hearing this, things have changed. Maybe later this week, things have changed. But I do think in the end, CeeDee is top 5 and probably top 3. So I have him ranked as wide receiver 3.
All right, fair enough. I've got him in my top 3 as well. I'll talk about him here in just a little bit. He's going to be a fun guy. Definitely going to be a fun guy to watch. So my wide receiver 3 this season, kid from Detroit, Amon-Ra St. Brown, playing with a chip on his shoulder. I believe that Jared Goff has never had a more perfect target to throw the football to. With how Jared Goff plays the game, a lot of talk about Jameson Williams this season, including from myself. When I dug a little deeper, dude, Jared Goff does not send the ball down the sideline. He's not the deep ball guy. When he's looking to move the chains, when he's looking to produce, when he's looking to get into the end zone, he's looking in that intermediate middle of the field. And where are you going to find Amon-Ra St. Brown? There. You're also going to find Sam Laporta there. That's why I had double-digit touchdowns last season. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown this season. He is my wide receiver 3. Easy first read in this offense, and he has an insanely safe floor. One game last season was single-digit points. Nearly half of them half of his games, he had more than 20 points, and he was riding around his other next highest score or lowest scoring game besides his 5-point game in one game last year was 12.9 points. The rest of them were upwards of about 15 points. Such a safe floor. He's like the Jalen Hurts of wide receivers, in my opinion here, this guy. So I like him a lot. I think his floor, he's one of those guys where it's like, is the ceiling there? Can he finish wide receiver 1? I don't actually think he can. I don't think he has the ceiling to be a wide receiver 1, but he can get damn close. And I believe he is going to be very, very effective this season. Wide receiver 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's so good.
He's really so good. I know you've had thoughts about him this offseason, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have him in your top 10. I don't.
Yeah.
There is.
Where's he at?
Well, I don't know, because here's what there's a lot of reason to think he's going to get hurt. There is a really strong trend to think he's going to get hurt. And I know anybody can say well, you can do that with any player, but
yeah.
But Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4th-year wide receivers take a massive dive for whatever reason. That's why CeeDee Lamb was such a phenom. But I don't know if it's just less production because Jameson Williams is there, or less production because Jahmyr Gibbs starts to shine, or Sam Laporta ends up being seen more yards, or if it really is just the trend and history shows that he's very likely going to get hurt. I don't know what it is. I'm going to follow the data. I don't think you shouldn't draft him, though. I will say that. I think he is. You're going to enjoy him a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm going to trust the numbers that I've found, that there's something that happens with year 4. Great year 3 wide receivers end up just look at Jamar Chase last year. Something happens. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to follow that number. But either way, you take him, get a wide receiver, in my opinion, just for some safety. But I think you'll enjoy Amon-Ra St. Brown as long as he's on the field. And if he's on the field all 17 games, then yeah, he's probably top 3. But
okay.
I told you, I did a lot of numbers and research.
You're looking at here. Okay, we're following the data.
Following this. Okay.
Sure. Can't follow you.
We'll
see how it goes. Number 2,
a teammate of someone in the top 10. How about that?
All right.
Number 2, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, dude.
Come on.
Man.
Come on. You're not just right. You're too low. You're too low on Cooper Kupp. This guy's back. Everything is better than, I would say better than ever, but you can't do better than Triple Crown winner. So it's going to be phenomenal. Do you want to know who my guy is? That man is my guy. I want Cooper Kupp to fall to me in that 4th round every single time. That 3rd round, actually. I want him, wherever he is, I think 4th round. Yeah. I love this man. A league winner, no doubt, will be one of the best values in fantasy. He is back. He is so healthy. Turns out he was injured the entire season last year, just playing through a lot of pain. And then he was still, as you said, top 5 on multiple occasions. Puka Nacua, still top 10. But Cooper Kupp is borderline wide receiver 1 on the season. Everything out of Los Angeles is saying this offense breathes through Cooper Kupp. And he is terrifying in a brand new way. Book him as wide receiver 2 on my list.
He's going to shine, dude. It's going to be crazy. I believe he could come back. I believe he has the opportunity and capability to come back and triple crown this bitch. I'm serious. I really do think even with Puka there, he could come back and just hit that stride with Stafford again and just be that guy. It's dude. Oh my gosh. Reports. Stafford did a mid-game interview during their preseason game. He's out there. He's going, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. I'm feeling better than ever. Oh my gosh. I want to put Kupp might end up in my top 5 here after we're going to take a look here. He is special, dude. He's so special. And he's so exciting to have on your team. And he's so cute, man. Look at that dude.
Most importantly, should we do a top 10 cutest wide receivers next?
Top 10 cutest wide receivers next episode. Oh my goodness. Subscribe to the Patreon for that one. My wide receiver 2 for the 2024 fantasy football season, Tyreek Hill. I don't have him at 1. I got him at 2. Not much to say. We
Oh,
know
wow.
him. We know the ceiling. We know the ability. We know the kind of player he is. He got more money this offseason. Did he get more years? No. The Dolphins were like, you're good. Here's money. Thank you. Let's go on. He's very special. He's going to be the top target in this offense. No doubt about it. My only reason I don't have him at 1 again, as I did last year, I just believe that Jalen Waddle bounces back in a big way this season. And I believe that he is a bigger part of this offense this season. I believe he's going to be more available. He's going to be on the field more than he was last season. I believe he's going to be a guy to watch, and honestly, a big value in fantasy drafts where he falls to. So that's my big thing. I think Waddle, and it's small guys like Jonnu Smith, even like you wonder. It's crazy to say Jonnu Smith could like make a little bit of a dent in Tyreek Hill's fantasy production. I understand, but this team went out and they got pieces for the offense. Odell Beckham Jr., Jonnu Smith. They added Jalen Wright. The running backs are getting more involved in the passing game from what we're hearing. I just think he's still fantastic. He's still great, and he could easily be the wide receiver 1, easily. Like there's no doubt about it in my mind. I just wonder if these guys are going to get more involved, take away a little bit of the production. I got him at 2. And I don't know why I'm like giving a somber tone to this, to the wide receiver 2 in fantasy football. Yeah. It sounds so stupid, but like Tyreek Hill's awesome, dude. He's great. He's fantastic. Draft him. He's great. I just got somebody else in my wide receiver 1. That's it.
I don't have anybody else outside of my wide receiver 1. I have Tyreek Hill as wide receiver 1. Yeah. And I'm with you that Jalen Waddle's going to have a much better season.
Yeah.
And I think Jalen Waddle will be top 15. I think it can happen. Yeah. There's just a lot that goes right for Tyreek Hill. And truthfully, we're not going to get a lot more years where Tyreek Hill's going to be this good. So I'm kind of going big or go home. Like he's either going to be as great as he is, or we're going to see the first of the decline of Tyreek Hill. Well, either he's either number 1 or he's going to barely be top 10. And now we're going to have to figure out if he's got the Devontae Adams scenario now.
Yeah.
So he's my number 1. Who is your number 1?
My wide receiver 1 for the 2024 season is Diontae Johnson. Now let me tell you something. I'm just kidding.
Okay, holy crap. I was like, what? Are you serious? I was like, you can't be. I'm the one who took the bold chances. Good line, top 10, but not one.
Oh my gosh. No, number 1 wide receiver this season for me is CeeDee Lamb. He was number 1 wide receiver last year in targets and catches. There's no run game in Dallas. Dak's in a contract year. CeeDee Lamb obviously going to be playing with a big old bag of money around his waist, so that's going to weigh him down a little bit, but he's still going to be great. Still going to be the wide receiver 1. There's not much more to say about it. This Dallas offense, Mike McCarthy, as much as he wants to try and establish the run game and what he wanted to do last year, they shined and they flourished when they threw the football, and that's what's going to happen again. They became winners of the division by throwing the football. They became a team that did they win a playoff game? No, they didn't. But they got to the playoffs again. Listen, it's not much more to say about it. CeeDee Lamb, my wide receiver 1. Could Tyreek and CD flip-flop? Absolutely. Could another guy be here? Maybe. Probably not. I think there are very few guys who have wide receiver 1 upside, but CeeDee Lamb is certainly one of them for his role in this offense. He's an exciting guy to watch and to play with play on your fantasy team. So go ahead, draft him. He could be the 101 in drafts if you want, if you're going wide receiver. No doubt about it. So that's it, dude.
We close it out. We're both in consensus. Justin Jefferson does not make the top 10.
Jetta's not in the top 10. Do you know where he's at for you?
14th.
I'm 11. So I'm just outside. It's not.
I think he could be there.
Guys, the talent's there. He's great. He is. He's one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. Like, there's no doubt about it in my mind. He's obviously one of the best wide receivers in the league right now. At some point, the shift's going to happen to JJ McCarthy. I don't know, dude. Saw JJ slinging the rock in the preseason. I don't know. No. Wes and I have differing opinions on the preseason. It's fun. Check out our next debate episode. That'll be a fun one.
Sure.
Abolish the preseason. That's what that's the stance. Thumbnail, boom. No, but we'll see. Jefferson not in the top 10, not there. My wide receiver 11, your wide receiver 14. Still, I guess a fourth and troll consensus wide receiver 1 in a 12-man league. So, do what you will with it, but he's overpriced and he's not going to be a guy that finishes as a wide receiver 11 or wide receiver 14 who made you happy every single week that you played him. Right. I think that's a very fair thing to say, is that he is going to be very up and down. And yes, he will have his 35-point weeks. And yes, he will have his 4.5-point weeks. And those are the weeks that you're going to have a shower beer. And not sponsored. But anyway.
Lucky.
Listen, top 10 wide receivers, done. We have one more positional group, dude. And then we're getting so close. Running backs are coming up next. It's going to be a blast. Check out everything in the description. Follow us on all our socials. Comment below, subscribe. We're giving away a Fourth and Troll fantasy shirt. It's going to be a blast. Make sure you do all that stuff. Make sure the troll smile by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell. And we will see you next time for Top 10 Running Backs. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Fourth and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media Group and Selby Artistic Workshop.